Okay, Memorial Weekend 2016. We're having a washout here in Connecticut, so it's giving me a chance to catch up on doing some video work. We're actually going to do a 5-video series on the acronym TREND. And this video is going to be a setup, so we're not going to actually get into the letter T, even though I know you're dying to know what it stands for. So let's use this as a setup. Trend, we talk about this in money management. A money manager is looking for a trend. So markets go up, that's certainly a trend. Markets go down, believe it or not, that's certainly a trend. And markets go sideways, which is not a trend. This is not a trend. So most of you watching this video, you make money in the up markets and you get killed in the down markets. Just think 2008. With our firm, we use professional private money managers that actually make money. Our managers, our platform made money in 2008. We talked about this plenty, and if you want to understand why, you just need to reach out and contact us. But this sideways market, this was 2011. This was also 2015. And then in my alert that I wrote in January of this year, January 2016, I mentioned that we don't have a repeat trendless market. We've never had two trendless markets in a row, meaning that we won't, even though 2016 looks like it's a trendless market, the market's basically where it started and where we're at now, almost mid-year. We've basically hardly gone anywhere, but people are looking at this as if we're going to have a 2016 trendless, and I do not think that's going to happen. I think we're clearly going to have a trend, although we're not going to see that trend establish itself until this, not only the latter half, but the last quarter of 2016. And I think the trend is going to be down. I think the trend's going to be down. And that's why I want to do this video series and walk you through these different topics in order to help you understand why I'm looking at it that way. To reinforce this point early, though, I want to use an analogy, and it'll help you understand why I'm talking about this potential downtrend. All right, so let's just look at your own household. Let's say that you make $10,000 per month. All right, that's what you have coming in the door. And your expenses, so this is your income, your expenses are, we'll just say, after everything, your expenses are roughly $9,500. So you're able to save a little bit of money each month, but most of what you come in goes right back out. All right. But you're able to survive, you're doing things, you're able to take your vacations, enjoy yourself, and so forth. Now, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you have a $5,000 debt that you have to put on your credit card. The next month, $7,000 on your credit card. The next month, another $5,000. Next month, $10,000. And these are all little things, right? The water heater goes out, the roof, dog needs operation, whatever it is. You got all this stuff, and before you know it, you wake up and you're $27,000 in debt. And you're like, how the heck did this happen? Number one. And number two, how am I going to be able to pay this off if I'm only basically saving $500 a month? How does this work? So if you can feel this pain, which is real pain, now what we need to do is circle back and look at our economy in general and what I mean by this analogy. So for a really, really long time, the gross domestic product of the United States, meaning this is the measurement of how we produce things, how we grow things, how our economy survives. The gross domestic product historically has been, and our target is right around 2.5%. You'll often hear the 3% number quoted, and that's certainly a target. But when you adjust for different important factors, really the number's 2.5. But for today's argument, let's just say 3% because I think that number bears out some of the things we're going to be talking about. So we have to use a little math here. If this represents 3% growth, that means it is a 3% average. Now, if there's ever a time period where you are under average, meaning you are 1% or 2%, or you are -1, which is a recession. So remember, the definition of a recession, let's get this straight. Definition of a recession is 2 quarters of negative growth in a row. Okay, that's a recession. So whether you're below 3 or negative, anytime you're below that, your job is to get back on this line. Okay, so let's say this one is you did 1% this year, and this year you did 2%, and then this year, let's say it was -1. Now, math says that we need a makeup here of 2, a makeup of 1, and a makeup of 3. So 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 3 is 6. So we have to have a what? We got to have a positive 6 above the line to get back on average trend. Just like our analogy here with the $27,000 in debt. The only way you're going to pay this $27,000 off if you're only saving $500 a month is to do what? Your income has to go up substantially. You have to start making $11,000 or $12,000 or $15,000 a month in order to have extra money to pay down this debt. That's math. So here, every time we are below 3% trend, we have to make up for it. So whenever we're below here, we have to make up for it in a positive above line in order to get back to average. Here's the challenge. In the past, whenever we had a -1% growth rate, we were always able to follow with a bounce back of 4, 5, and even sometimes 6% growth, meaning get above this trend line. Well, from 2006 to 2015, guess what? We've never had 1 year, not one year, not one above 3% growth. Not once. You know what the old record was? We broke this record. This time period right here, this 10 years broke a record. There was a 4-year time period where we had sub 3% growth rate, 4 years in a row. You know what that time frame was? The Great Depression, 1929 to 1933. Now, everybody always touts Ronald Reagan politically, right? And the reason they do that in the growth aspect is, do you know that during the 7-year period of Ronald Reagan, we never were below 3%? Every single GDP was above 3% for 7 years in a row. It was crazy. That's why we had that big boom in the economy. But here's our problem. We've gone 10 years below this 3% line. Do you know how much GDP explosion we have to experience above this line just to get back to average? And oh, by the way, what's the Federal Reserve talking about, right? The Federal Reserve is trying to create inflation. And what's their target? Their target is between 2 and 3%. So if your target's 2 to 3, here's our average. The only way you're going to get that when we've just spent 10 years below 3%, the only way you're going to get this number is you've got to spend all this time above it. Well, guess what? It's not in the cards. It's just not. So that's why I'm going to do this video series, and we're going to go through this acronym of TREND, and you'll see why I believe the next trend coming is a downtrend, and I'm going to prepare you with the knowledge to help you understand that. Okay? All right, so look for the next video coming up. Thanks for watching this one. Always go to the Brinkman Academy to subscribe. We appreciate you watching. Thanks.